Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Reagan and this is my channel, Ray Reads, and today I'm going to be doing a recent reads. Yeah. So it has been quite a while since I've been kind of back in the groove, and so for the past few months I have been doing a little bit of reading, and I wanted to tell you guys the things I have been reading. I think I've read like 10 to 15 books since I haven't updated you guys. I'm not actually sure when the last update was because I'm not even sure I did like a January wrap up, so I don't remember though, so I'm gonna go with no, that I didn't. But I'm not gonna talk about the books that I read in January because A, that feels so long ago, and B, I just don't know if I've already talked about it or not, and I'm too lazy to go check. So those books weren't super important anyways, and I feel like I did because I read These Monstrous Ties and I was obsessed with that book, so I feel like I've talked about it and I vaguely remember talking about it. But anyways, I do have some other books that I've read in February and March that I definitely want to talk about, and just some recent things that I've been reading. So let's just go ahead and get into the video. So I got really into mafia books. I've never read a mafia romance, so I really wanted to just dive in head first. And of course I had to start with the Queen, Cora Riley. I've heard amazing things about her mafia books. So I started with Sweet Temptation, which I would not recommend starting with that one, but I started with Sweet Temptation not really knowing. That one's supposed to be a standalone, but it does use characters that are involved in like the world of the Born in Blood Mafia Chronicles. I think, yeah, that's what it's called. That's what the series is called. So they are characters from that series, but of course it's a standalone. You can read it without it. But I read Sweet Temptation, which I don't even need to go through and like tell you what each of these are about because they're basically all the same. But Sweet Temptation is a little bit different than the others in the fact that Sweet Temptation is about a girl who basically gets like given to this man because that's how it's done in the mafia, because his wife died and he has these kids and he needs somebody to raise his kids. So this girl gets like given to him when she's like 18 and basically has to become a wife and a mother like overnight, and it's basically their love story. It was really cute, really sweet. I really enjoyed it. And then I read the first and the second Born in Blood Mafia Chronicles. The first one is called Bound in Honor, the second one is Bound in Duty, and the third one's Bound by Hatred. And I'm like 80% of the way through that and I just like haven't picked it back up in like a month, but I do want to finish that one because that was the one I was looking forward to the most, but they like gradually get longer and longer, so I was like kind of taking me some time to get through it. But I really can't remember the storylines of the first two. I think the first one was my favorite. The second one I really didn't care for those characters, so I just read it because I wanted to get to the third one, and then I just didn't have the stamina to read the third one, which is really unfortunate. But they're just regular mafia romances. It's just about the mafia, and it's like arranged marriages and just like a cold guy and a really sweet girl who just wants the guy's attention. And anyways, they're great. It's a good time. I just really don't have much to say about them, but I did really enjoy them. I think I gave the first one 4 stars, the second one, which is Bound by Duty, I think I gave that one 3 stars, and then I haven't finished the third one, but it's been really good. And yeah, just a great series if you're looking for something spicy, something fun, kind of dark. Definitely pick up the, why do I not remember the name? Born in Blood Mafia Chronicles. I really don't know why that title of the series is so long, but yeah, that was what I read in kind of January, February. And then I picked up What He Doesn't Know by Candy Steiner, and I should not have picked up this book because of 2 reasons. A, it is a love triangle-ish, and B, it's heavily involves cheating, which I don't totally mind in books. Like, I don't hate it as much as some people do, but when it comes to marriage and cheating when you're like married, that like is it for me. Like, if you're just dating someone and you cheat on them, like, circumstances, I'm like, okay, I can maybe work through it. I don't approve of that in real life, please do not mishear me, but in a book I can kind of get through it and get past it if the plot is good enough, and if the character development is good enough, and if the circumstances are like justified a little bit, I can kind of get through it. But I really couldn't get through this. I did finish it, but I'm not going to go on with the second or third just because it just wasn't for me. But basically this is about a girl who she's like in a marriage and something's wrong, and they've been married for a few years, and her like childhood crush crush like comes back into her life, and she's like all sad about like missing out on their chance at love. And anyways, he like starts teaching at the school that she's teaching at, and so they get like really involved with each other. And anyways, it just wasn't for me. First of all, it was kind of love triangle-y because she like was in love with her husband, but he's like not showing her any love, but she's also falling in love with this guy, and I don't really like that. And then of course the cheating aspect just wasn't for me. So I think I ended up giving this book 3 stars. It was enjoyable, but I didn't like the premise of it, if that makes any sense at all. So I gave it 3 stars. It was okay. If you like the kind of storyline, definitely pick it up, but it just wasn't for me. I love Candy Steiner's writing. It's very angsty. It's beautiful. It's very slow burn, but this storyline just wasn't for me. Then I was still in the romance mood. This was like beginning of the year, January, February, when all I wanted to do was eat, sleep, drink, romance. So I picked up Vicious by Lj Shen and thoroughly enjoyed this. I picked it up a while ago, maybe sometime last year, and got halfway through it and then just like didn't care anymore. And so I just kind of DNF'd it. But I ended up picking this back up because one of my really good friends, Naima, really wanted me to read this. And so I was like, fine. And then another good friend of mine, Nitty from Nitty Ready Reads, she bought me this off my Amazon wish list. So I was like, okay, I have to read it, fine. So I ended up reading it and I really enjoyed it. And I kind of hate that I did, but I really did. I like just couldn't stop reading it. I gave it 4 stars, I think 4.5 maybe. It was really good. Not a 5-star read for me, but definitely really enjoyable. I loved Vicious's character. He's just mean and I just kind of liked it. And I liked Amelia's character too. She kind of grew a pair halfway through the story, which I really enjoyed, but this is really just about a girl and a guy, and I like don't even really remember. It like flips back and forth kind of between past and present, and in the past they were like in high school and they really had feelings for each other, but they like couldn't because he was like the rich bad boy and she was like the help. She like worked, her family was his like maids that like worked and lived in his house. So she like lived in the like pool house basically of his house and was the daughter of his like maid and like gardener or whatever. So she was kind of the help and labeled as like poor, and he like was the rich bad boy. So anyways, if you like that trope, definitely pick this up. I'm sure everyone's already read this because I mean, if you haven't, where have you been? But yeah, it was pretty good. Gave it 4 stars, really enjoyable. Then I read Culti by Mariana Zapata. I listened to this on audio. It was like literally a 24-hour audiobook. It was so long. I'm just kidding. It was actually probably like 16 to 17 hours, but it was still pretty long. And this book is about a girl who is a professional soccer player, and she ends up falling in love with her coach, who is a retired professional soccer player. And he's like the guy of her dreams that she's like crushed over since she was a child. And he's like 14 years older than her. There is a little bit of an age gap, but it was really sweet. It is super slow burn, but it is rewarding. I mean, in the end, you get like 1 kiss and it's like finally, and then the book is over. I will say I got a little bit bored towards the very end. I like just really didn't care anymore. I turned up the speed a little bit more and was just kind of flowing through it. Probably the last hour or so when the characters like got together. And so that was my only disagreement with the book, but it was okay. I think I gave it 3.5 stars or 4 stars. It was really enjoyable and I was like laughing through it. The writing is amazing. It's really relatable. I really enjoyed it, but I just got a little bored here and there because it was just so dragged on, but I did enjoy it. It was a great story. So I think 4 stars for that one. Then I picked up It Ain't Me Babe by Tilly Cole, and let me tell you guys, I enjoyed this so much. I really should start reading more motorcycle romances. I've only ever read the I don't know what the series is called. I don't know why it's slipping my mind, but oh my gosh. Literally, what is it called? I literally can't remember what the series is called, but it is the like Welcome to the Dark Side series by Gianna Darling, and this is a different, I don't know what this one's called. I think this one's called The Hangmen. I think that's what their motorcycle club is called. So this is the Hangmen series, I think, but this is just the first one, and it is about a girl who escapes from a cult, like convent thing, and she becomes rescued at this motorcycle club and basically falls in love with the motorcycle club president, who is mute. He like can't speak. I mean, amazing. This book was so good. I was so entranced. Like I was sucked into this thing from the very beginning to the very end. This was amazing. And I think it's just because I have such a deep love for motorcycle romances, and this one just sucked me in the whole time, and I was just thoroughly enjoyed it. It was so good. I really want to read the 2nd and 3rd, but I want to own them, so I don't want to read them on Kindle because first of all, I'd have to buy them on Kindle because they're not on Kindle Unlimited. So I don't want to buy it on Kindle because I'd rather just buy it and have a physical copy. So I'll probably wait till the summer when I'm like actually making money and buy my own copy, but I'm very excited to read the 2nd one. one. This was actually sent to me by one of you guys. Where's my, there it is, my little tag. This was sent to me from LaDonna. She said, hope you'll enjoy this book as much as I did. So thank you so much, LaDonna, if you're watching this. I did love it, and I gave it 5 stars. It was so good, and I can't wait to get my hands on the second one. So thank you, LaDonna, and everyone go read this. Okay, the next thing that I picked up was Marrow by Taryn Fisher, and wow, this book, oh my goodness, it was stunning. It was amazing. It was beautiful. It was everything I ever needed. I mean, look at this. I tabbed this bad boy up. It was so good. This book, I literally don't even know how to explain it to you guys. It's basically about a girl who lives in this neighborhood, and she's like super poor. This is like the worst part of town ever. And she starts to fall in love with, or she becomes friends with the guy that's down the street, and he's in a wheelchair, and he is just like the sweetest thing ever. And they kind of just become friends like randomly. She's like walking to work one day, and they strike up a conversation, and they start talking, and then they just kind of become friends. And then she kind of starts to develop feelings for him. And anyways, this takes place over like a lot of years. And so I think it starts when she's like really young. In the first chapter, she's like 7. And then the next chapter, she's like 8. And it kind of jumps like until she's like 18, and then from there we watch her life for the next few years. And she ends up moving out of this horrible neighborhood and moves on with her life. And I like can't even tell you, I guess the back tells you that this little girl in the neighborhood goes missing, and she was found, and she was basically killed and burned. Her body was burned. And so Margot and Judah, this guy that she meets, they basically start this mission to target like rapists and serial killers and molesters and all these people, and try to like get justice for people who deserve it, and like basically kill and target these other bad people. But the book just takes a turn that I was really not expecting, and it was phenomenal. And if you're interested in picking this up, I would recommend reading Mudvayne by Taryn Fisher first, and then reading Marrow, because there is a little Easter egg in here if you've read Mudvayne. And if you have read Mudvayne and you haven't read Marrow, please pick it up, because you're gonna wanna hear this Easter egg. It explains so much from Mudvayne, and it was like, when I read it, I was in complete shock. But you might have to reread Mudvayne because it is a small detail. I can't even explain. It was so good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. The writing, that's one thing I love about Taryn Fisher. When she publishes indie, her writing is beautiful. I didn't totally enjoy The Wives by her, just because it just didn't feel like Taryn Fisher to me. It was traditionally published, which go her, like go make your coin. But also I love her indie published books, because they just, it feels like the heart and soul of Taryn Fisher, and that's just like where my heart's at. I love her writing. Has a beautiful way with words that I think a lot of people struggle to grasp. And so I will read anything by her at this point, because her writing is just stunning, and it just like touches my soul. It really does. So anyways, this book was 5 stars, loved it. You need to go pick it up, but first pick up Mudvayne. Lastly, I finally picked up 6 of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. Everyone's probably cheering for joy in their seat, because I've only been talking about reading this since like October of 2020, but this book was so enjoyable for me. I believe I gave it 5 stars. It was really, really good. It wasn't like as amazing as people have hyped it up to be, in my opinion, but I did enjoy it for what it was worth, and that's why I gave it 5 stars. I did really, really enjoy the relationships. I'm currently reading Crooked Kingdom right now, so I'm excited to kind of see where those relationships that were developed and the character development that was portrayed in this book, I'm excited to see them act that out, and like see them in different circumstances, and just watch those relationships and friendships blossom. But this was a great introductory book, so that's why I'm really excited for Crooked Kingdom. But this was really, really enjoyable. But if you don't know what 6 of Crows is about, it is about a group of 6 like alley kids, street kids, who basically go on this really impossible heist to try to raise a ton of money and then get themselves out of these horrible situations that they're all in. And you just kind of follow the perspectives of all these kids. It's just so good, and that's really all I can say. But they just go on this incredible heist. The plot is amazing. The character development is amazing. I thoroughly had a great time. It was good. 5 stars. So right now I'm currently in the middle of Crooked Kingdom, and I'm also currently in the middle of a reread of A Court of Thorns and Roses. I really, really want to reread the series, because I never read A Court of Wings and Ruin, and then I never read A Court of Frost and Starlight, I think is what the fourth one is called. And of course I need to read A Court of Silver Flames. So I really want to get to the third one, but I felt like it'd be more enjoyable to reread the whole series because I don't want to forget about those minor details that I would have forgotten about since it's been a few months since I've read the first and second book. So I'm currently in the middle of a reread of Court of Thorns and Roses, and I'm also in the middle of Crooked Kingdom, as well as a book, I'm pretty sure it's called Raise by Tilly Cole. This is a dark romance. It's whatever. It's not as good, I will say, as It Ain't Me Babe. I really had hope because I loved It Ain't Me Babe by Tilly Cole, but it is enjoyable. It's just a nice read to take by the pool. So anyways, that is what I'm reading right now. Those are my current kind of past reads that I've read in the past couple months. I skipped a couple here and there just because they weren't that important, but I wanted to update you guys on kind of just what I've been reading these past few months. I'm really excited to be back and kind of jump back into Booktube and talking about what I'm reading and all those fun, exciting things. So that is all that I have for this video. Thank you so much for watching. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps to support me and my channel. And make sure to check the description box down below. It has all the links you need to all of these books, as well as my Instagram, Twitter, all my social media, and my Amazon wish list if you wish to support me there. Thank you so much for watching. I love you guys with my whole heart. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.
She's a Mona Lisa. Everyone's lining up to see her. There must be something bad.